Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm Tom Quigley, bringing the latest tips, tricks and techniques for your contemporary painting and drawing needs. And welcome back to another video. I hope everyone is well and safe at home. This week was my first day back into work, which felt pretty strange, but glad to be back in the classroom. Now, this tutorial, it's going to be following on from the last video. So if you've not seen the last video, which was on the long strip, and the subject was based on maps, then please find the last video, and this one's following on from it. And in this particular video, we are going to be looking at recording ideas. So more specifically, experimentation materials and recording your own ideas, which are essential and a key part of the GCSE syllabus. So, this activity is coming before artist research, and there's a number of reasons why I've done that. Number one, and the most simple reason, is that you can decide what you like and what you don't like. By looking at your long strip and looking at maps in general, you can work out, are you more interested in the geometrical side of maps, maybe looking at the aerial images of cities, or maybe you're more interested in the rural landscape, maybe looking at the sections of fields and the more organic patchwork that you might see in them. Secondly, I want you to record your ideas without having any influence whatsoever of materials or style of work for any artist. I just want you to concentrate on getting better and more confident with your drawing or whatever subject that you might be getting on with. And the third one is that maybe creating some annotation next to the experiments that you've been continuing with and explaining to the viewer or the person who's marking your work how you actually created that piece of work. Was you layering it? What materials did you use? Did you come across any problems within the artwork? And if you did, how are you going to come across them? And obviously, as the sketchbook is a journey, how are you going to develop and what are you going to take from and what are you going to leave behind and think to yourself, that's not what I want my artwork to look like. Now, another word that I just want to quickly come back to, which I've not really gone into detail, is the word recording. Now, recording, when I hear it, when I first heard it, I felt to myself, it's just to do with video or film. What artwork in recording terms is collecting materials. It could be taking photographs, it could be drawing on location or maybe from a photograph. So whenever you hear that word recording your idea, writing down or using imagery to explain what you're interested in. Anyway, I've rabbited on way too much. Let's get on with the task. See you in a minute. Okay, so we're on to the first drawing, and the first one we're going to be using just a simple biro pen. And there's a number of reasons why I've decided to use a biro pen. One, it's cheap and it's easily accessible. Secondly, it builds up your confidence. Because you can't rub it out the same as using a pencil, you're going to have to think about strategies if you do go wrong and how you can rectify them in the drawing. And the third one is, you would be amazed to see how beautiful you can create a drawing just using a simple biro pen. So that is why I've chosen this as the first one. Now, what you'll see I'm doing is just mapping out very, very carefully. You can actually use the biro pen quite lightly if you're very delicate, and then press quite dark if you're confident and you want that concrete line in there. Now, as I'm working on this little section here, I'm getting that from a long strip. Now, you can look at one of your sections if you so wish, or you can choose a number of small areas and combine them together. Just try and create a focal point in the centre. So an area of interest, an area of more detail than the outskirts, and that's just going to look quite nice. Now, what you'll also see me doing is starting to add some tone. Now, again, with pencil, it's going to be completely different. You're going to have to use some cross-hatching techniques, and what I'd like you to do is try and create a variety of tone. Some areas are going to be extremely dark, and then some areas are going to be slightly lighter. So we've got some light tones, medium, and then some really dark ones. Now, I'm just refining my areas now, just making it really detailed in the centre, trying to be as creative as I possibly can. And you can leave a biro drawing like that if you so wish. Now, the next stage that I'm thinking of is that if you were to add a material into this drawing maybe, and there's a number of things that you could use. I've decided to use watercolour, and I decided to stay with the same hues and tones. So this is just going to be completely blue. I thought it was quite attractive how the different tones of blues. Remember, biro will not budge and you can work over the top of it. Now, this second one that I've decided to do as a recording from my long strip is using colour pencils. Now, colour pencils are so rich in colour, and if you have got some decent quality ones, the outcomes, again, are truly amazing. And it just proves to you, you don't need expensive paints to create some beautiful artwork. Now what I'm using a pencil this time just to map in some of the smaller sections and just make sure that my drawing is correct, really, because sometimes with the colour pencil you can't go over it like you would do with a biro. Now, if you're not used to using colour pencil, it's a very simple material, as I said, but some people are not sure of using it. Try and press quite hard and then blend it in and go over it a number of times. Some people are very light with it. You can be quite tough with the material, and you're going to get that contrast between dark and light, and it's going to look a lot more attractive in your drawing. Another tip that you can do is put down a layer of colour like I'm doing now, choose another tone of colour, so I've gone for a lighter green, and then blended the two together, and you'll see that transition from colour to colour. So have a play around with maybe with some blues and reds to create purples. Here I'm just blending it into the blue, into the brown, just to add some contrast between those two colours. So I'm going to continue doing this one on here, and this one is actually of a train station, which is quite nice. So another thing to consider when using colour pencil is that there's a vast array of different colours. So why limit to yourself to a number of them when you've got the chance to explore the material? So if you're interested in more vibrant colours, then give it a go and see what it looks like. And if it doesn't, not to worry. All it was an experiment. Now the next one that I'm going to be moving on to is just using a simple pencil. Now if you are doing any type of topic or exam unit, any recording, I would suggest you always have a pencil drawing. A decent pencil drawing is always good to have. So what you'll see I'm doing now is adding some variety of tone. So I want some really, really dark tones. I want some variety of line in there. You'll also notice that every single drawing that I've done is completely different. And there's a reason for that. If I just did the same thing over and over again, I'm not going to have the choice to know what looks good and what doesn't. So try and give yourself a bit of variety, and then you can decide in the end what elements you like and what elements that you don't like. So what I'm going to do is continue with this drawing, and then I'm actually going to add some watercolour. Now I've just used the burnt umber. It's similar to the coffee that I was using, but again, I'm experimenting with materials. Watercolour could be a better option for the future pieces of artwork, or I might stick with coffee. Now what I'm also adding onto here, just to show that you can add even further more materials, is using a black biro pen. We did this on the large piece of work, but I thought I'd use it again in this one. And I'm just taking elements from my long strip, adding some new sections, and in fact I've started to use a little bit of my imagination as well. I've started to notice patterns happen in the map, so I don't need to look at it as much. Now one thing that you might notice is that I had watercolour on, and now I'm adding colour pencil on there. It's a really nice touch. Now colour pencil, as I said before, it's rich on its own. It gets even more rich when adding them together, and it just creates that beautiful tone and contrast between different sections. So I'm going to continue just a couple of sections on here just to refine it further. And now what I'm going to do is cut the work out. Now it talks about presentation now. We need to put these in a book, which I've started to do there. I just thought it looks quite neat cutting them out. You don't need to, you can do it directly into the sketchbook if you want to. Now what I've also done there is labelled what materials I've used, and then we can start annotating the sketchbook. Now you can talk about what you like about the material, what you want to bring forward with the shapes that you've used. Also you can discuss what you don't really like in your work. You can also think about, what material or combinations of materials worked. Now I had a bit of a space on there, so here I've actually done a fine liner drawing with some biro, which worked quite nice. Well, that's it guys on the recording of ideas and the experimentation materials. Hopefully you found it informative. Hopefully it was helpful for your own sketchbook investigations, your own journey in your own sketchbook during GCSE. But just remember, we are at the start of this journey on this topic, meaning that you can make as many mistakes as you possibly can, as long as you learn from them and as long as you annotate them. That's something that you wasn't interested in or it didn't go to plan. I just want you to keep on drawing. The more you draw, the more confident you're going to be of using materials. You're also going to become more decisive in your decisions, what you like and what you don't like. One thing I see over and over again is that you can do as many pages as you want to, but if you can't make your own decisions and where you want to be and what your final outcome is going to look like, then it's not going to be your own work. It's always going to be somebody else's. So try and try. I know it's difficult, but do your very best. Anyway, I again rabbiting on way too much, and I'm going to leave the video there. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you want to comment, comments are always welcome, and I will try and get back to every single one of you. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then please hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell if you want to know when I'm next uploading. Anyway, until the next video, guys, see you later.